The mining colony of Nexus 7 hung like a tarnished jewel against the rust-colored horizon of Kepler 186f. Commander Diana Frost stood at the viewport of the USS Horizon, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she studied the emergency beacon's coordinates blinking on the holographic display. After 20 years in deep space rescue operations, she thought she'd seen everything. She was wrong. The distress signal had come 3 standard hours ago, not from the human mining colony as expected, but from an unknown vessel that had crash-landed near the facility. The signature was like nothing in their database. "Commander, preliminary scans complete," Lieutenant Raj Patel reported from his station, dark eyes fixed on the scrolling data. The crash site shows one vessel, approximately 40 meters in length. Design unknown. "We're picking up life signs, but they're unusual." Diana nodded, her silver-streaked hair catching the starlight. "Any response to our hails?" "Negative, ma'am. But there's something else." Raja's fingers flew across the haptic interface. "The mining colony's gone dark. No communications, minimal power signatures." Diana felt the familiar tightening in her chest that preceded every rescue operation. Something wasn't right. The colony housed over 300 people, families, engineers, geologists. They wouldn't go silent without reason. "Prep the shuttle," she ordered. "Full rescue team, medical included. Whatever's down there, we're about to make history." The descent through Kepler's atmosphere was rough, thermal shields glowing as they cut through the copper-colored clouds. Dr. Neela Shah, the team's xenobiologist, checked her equipment for the 3rd time. Besides her sat Marcus Chen, their security lead, his expression stoic but alert. As they approached the crash site, Diana got her first real look at the alien vessel. It was beautiful in its strangeness, all sweeping curves and iridescent metal that seemed to shift colors in the planet's dim light. But it was the mining colony that made her blood run cold. The facility was intact, but dark. No movement, no signs of evacuation or struggle. Just silence. "Life signs are stronger," Neela reported as they landed. "Definitely non-human." The crash survivors appear to be gathered in what looks like a central chamber of their ship. Diana made her decision. "We split into 2 teams. Neela, you're with me on first contact. Marcus, take your team and check the colony. Full precautions, but weapons on stun only. We're here to help, not start an interstellar incident." The alien ship's hull had a strange texture under Diana's gloved hand as she searched for an entry point. It was Neela who found it, a seamless door that responded to their presence by simply dissolving away. Inside, the air was thick with an odd, sweet scent. The corridors curved organically, lit by what appeared to be bioluminescent panels. They followed the life sign readings until they reached what had to be the bridge. The first thing Diana noticed was the cold. Their environment suits compensated, but the temperature was clearly set for a species that preferred it far below human comfort. The second thing she noticed was the movement, graceful, fluid forms emerging from recessed alcoves. They were tall, easily 7 feet, with bodies that seemed to flow like liquid crystal. Their skin shifted colors like the hull of their ship, and multiple pairs of eyes studied the humans with what Diana hoped was curiosity rather than hostility. One of them stepped forward, movements precise and deliberate. When it spoke, its words were translated by their suit's AI into something both beautiful and heartbreaking. "I am HFY, first navigator. We did not expect kindness. Not after what we witnessed." Diana kept her voice steady, professional. "Commander Diana Frost, USS Horizon. We're responding to your distress signal. What happened here?" The alien skin rippled with dark colors that Neela's sensors registered as distress. "We were drawn off course by an anomaly. Our landing was unfortunate. But what we found here." HFY's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. "The mining facility. They were under attack. We attempted to assist, but our weapons were damaged in the crash. The raiders took them, all of them. Diana's mind raced. Raiders. Out here, that could only mean one thing, the scavenger fleet, pirates who preyed on outer colony worlds. When? Your time measurement, approximately 6 hours ago. We tracked their vessels. We know where they have taken your people. ZYXR's skin shifted to a deep, determined blue. We did not have the means to help them. But perhaps, together. Diana felt the weight of command, of first contact, of 300 lives hanging in the balance. This was more than a rescue mission now. This was the moment humanity had waited for, proof we weren't alone, and more importantly, proof that even across the gulf of space, compassion could bridge any distance. She extended her hand, a gesture she hoped would translate. Then let's get our people back. ZYXR's crystalline appendage met her hand, cool but firm. Above them, through the ship's transparent sections, Kepler's red dwarf star painted the scene in shades of crimson and gold. It was, Diana thought, either the beginning of something remarkable or the prelude to disaster. Either way, there was no going back. The Joint Command Center aboard the USS Horizon hummed with activity as humans and Vilaxians worked side by side. Diana watched as ZYXR's crystalline fingers danced across the adapted interface, mapping the scavenger fleet's likely trajectory through the Kepler sector. The alien skin pulsed with patterns of deep purple, a sign of intense concentration, she'd learned. Their vessels follow predictable patterns, ZYXR explained, multiple eyes focused on the holographic display. They will seek the shadow of the gas giant's rings. It provides natural interference with most scanning technologies. Lieutenant Raj studied the data with growing excitement. If we combine our sensors with the Vilaxian quantum detection array, we can track them through the interference, finished ZYXR's second-in-command, Telshar, their form shifting to an approving shade of green-gold. The aliens had proven to be brilliant tacticians, their thought processes complementing human intuition in unexpected ways. Dr. Neela Shah worked nearby, deep in conversation with the Vilaxians' chief scientist about their species' remarkable biological attributes. The crystalline structure of your cellular matrix, she was saying, it's absolutely fascinating. The applications for medical technology alone. Diana cleared her throat. Focus, people. We have 300 colonists to rescue. How long until the scavengers reach their hiding spot? Marcus Chen, who had been quietly analyzing the pirates' weapons capabilities, spoke up. At their current speed, 18 hours. But Commander. He hesitated, his usual confidence wavering. The scavenger fleet has never been hit successfully. They're always one step ahead. They have never faced the combined strength of our peoples, Telshar interjected, their crystalline form emanating determination. Our ships may be damaged, but our knowledge remains intact. We know weaknesses in their shielding technology that your weapons can exploit. Diana nodded, feeling the pieces of a plan coming together. The past 12 hours had been a crash course in interspecies cooperation. The Vilaxians' liquid crystal technology was centuries ahead of humanity's in some areas, centuries behind in others. Together, though. Commander, Raj called out suddenly, his voice tight with urgency. We're picking up a transmission. It's from the colonists. The message was garbled, but clear enough, holding us in the mineral processing facility, demanding ransom, please hurry. Diana saw ZYXR's color drain to a pale, worried blue. They are separating them, the alien said softly. Just as they did on our colony world, before. They trailed off, skin rippling with memories too painful to share. Not this time, Diana assured them. Raj, get me a secure channel to Fleet Command. Marcus, I want every piece of intel we have on scavenger tactics. Neela, work with Telshar on adapting our boarding pods to handle Vilaxian life support requirements. We're going to need everyone for this. As the teams dispersed, ZYXR approached Diana privately. Their crystalline form had taken on a deep, midnight blue she hadn't seen before. "Commander Frost, there is something you should know. My people, we are peaceful by nature. Our physical form, while resilient, was not designed for combat. Yet when the scavengers attacked our colony, we learned. We adapted. We survived." Diana studied the aliens' shifting colors, reading the emotions behind them as she'd learned to do. "You're worried about having to fight again." "No," ZYX-Re's form pulsed with unexpected intensity. "I worry that you will see what we become in battle and judge us as harshly as others have. Our liquid crystal form, it can be weaponized in ways that many find disturbing." Understanding dawned. "You're not just peaceful by nature. You're peaceful by choice." "Yes. Because we must be. Because we have seen the alternative." ZYX-Re's colors swirled with complex emotions. "Your people, they fight when they must, but they do not let it define them. We observed this in how you approached us, armed but ready to help. We admire this balance." Diana placed a hand on the cool, crystalline surface of ZYX-Re's arm. "Whatever happens out there, we're in this together. And after we get our people back, maybe we can learn from each other. Find a balance that works for both our species." The ship's lights dimmed briefly as the engines powered up for the coming chase. Around them, humans and Vilaxians continued their work, two species united by common purpose. Diana couldn't help but smile at the sight. "Tell me more about these disturbing weapons of yours," she said to ZYX-Re. "If we're going to surprise the scavengers, we might as well really surprise them." ZYX-Re's form brightened with something like hope. Perhaps we can show you how to adapt your shields to our crystalline resonance technology. And in return, we'll teach you how to fight without losing yourselves," Diana finished. "That's what humans do best, we adapt, we learn, and we help others do the same." The next few hours would test both species to their limits. But as Diana watched her crew working seamlessly with their new allies, she knew they'd already won something more valuable than any tactical victory. They'd found trust among the stars. The gas giant's rings loomed before them, a maze of ice and rock that could swallow entire fleets. The USS Horizon slipped between the fragments, running silent. In the modified cargo bay that now served as a Vilaxian command post, ZYX-Re's crystalline form pulsed with nervous energy as they monitored the quantum detection array. "Multiple signatures ahead," they announced, their voice carrying an harmonic undertone that betrayed their tension. "The scavenger fleet has split into 3 groups." Diana studied the tactical display, where red dots indicated enemy vessels scattered throughout the ring system. "They're expecting us." Classic divide and conquer strategy. "No," Marcus interrupted, pointing to a particular cluster of signals. "Look at the pattern. They're not just divided, they're arranged in a net. If we go after any group, the others can close in from behind," Telshir finished, their crystalline form darkening with concern. "They have adapted their tactics based on previous encounters with both our species." Diana felt the weight of command pressing down on her shoulders. 300 colonists were counting on them, but the scavengers had laid a perfect trap. Any direct approach would lead to disaster. That's when Neela burst into the command center, her dark eyes bright with discovery. "Commander, you need to see this. We've been analyzing the Vilaxian biological data, and there's something incredible about their crystalline structure." ZYX-Re shifted uncomfortably, colors swirling with uncertainty. "Dr. Shah, perhaps this is not the time." "It's exactly the time," Neela insisted. "Their bodies don't just change color, they can alter their entire molecular structure. In theory, they could phase through solid matter, become virtually invisible to sensors, even generate electromagnetic pulses." The room fell silent. Diana looked at ZYX-Re, understanding dawning. "This is what you meant about being peaceful by choice. Your entire species is essentially a living weapon." "Yes," ZYX-Re admitted, their form rippling with shame. It is why we chose peace. The temptation to use these abilities for dominance, it nearly destroyed our civilization. We swore never to use them in war again. Diana stepped closer to the alien commander, her voice low and intense. But this isn't war, ZYX-RE. This is rescue. Those colonists, they're not soldiers. They're families, children. Sometimes the most peaceful choice is to act. Telsher moved forward, their crystalline surface reflecting the starlight. There is another factor to consider. The scavengers' ships. They are using crystalline technology stolen from our people. Modified, corrupted, but at its core. It's your technology, Raj finished, fingers flying across his console. Which means you know its weaknesses better than anyone. Diana watched as understanding spread through both human and Vilaxian crew members. We don't need to fight their ships, she said slowly. We just need to get aboard them. ZYX-RE's form shifted through a rainbow of colors before settling on a determined blue. What you suggest, it would require us to embrace aspects of ourselves we have long denied. The psychological impact on my crew will be balanced by the knowledge that you used your abilities to save lives, not take them, Diana countered. Sometimes the hardest path is the right one. The next hour was a flurry of preparation. The Vilaxians taught the humans how to modify their shields to mask the unique energy signature of crystalline phasing. Neela and her team worked to create specialized equipment that would protect human crew members during the infiltration. Through it all, Diana watched as the Vilaxians struggled with their decision, their forms occasionally trembling with the weight of centuries of cultural taboo. Just before they were ready to launch the operation, ZYX-RE pulled Diana aside. Their crystalline surface had taken on a deep, almost black coloration she hadn't seen before. Commander Frost. Diana. If we do this, if we show the galaxy what we are truly capable of, everything will change. Not just for my crew, but for my entire species. Diana met the alien's multiple eyes steadily. Change isn't always a bad thing, ZYX-RE. Your people chose peace because they understood the responsibility of power. Using that power to protect others doesn't compromise that choice, it honors it. ZYX-RE's form brightened slightly. You remind me of stories from our ancient times, of leaders who guided us from our darkest moments toward the light. Perhaps this is why our paths crossed. Not just to save your colonists, but to help us remember who we truly are. The ship's alert system pulsed softly, signaling they were in position. Diana straightened her uniform and addressed both crews over the intercom. This is Commander Frost. In a few minutes, we're going to attempt something that's never been done before. We're going to remind the scavengers that the greatest power isn't in weapons or technology, but in the choice of how to use them. Stand ready. We make history today. As the crews moved to their positions, Diana caught glimpses of Vilaxian forms beginning to shift and change, preparing for their role in the rescue. Their crystalline bodies glowed with an inner light that seemed to pulse in harmony with the human crew's determined heartbeats. The storm within each of them, the conflict between what they could do and what they should do, was about to break loose among the stars. The void between the gas giants' rings became a theater of impossible light. Diana watched from the horizon's bridge as 12 Vilaxian forms streaked through space like living comets, their crystalline bodies refracting starlight in ways that human eyes could barely process. Behind each alien warrior, a human team member followed in modified EVA suits, connected by threads of shimmering energy that ZYX-RE called resonance bonds. First team approaching target vessel, Raj reported, his voice tight with concentration. Crystalline interference fields active. Scavenger sensors are reading only normal background radiation. Diana touched the communications panel. Remember the plan. Locate the colonists first. No direct confrontation unless absolutely necessary. Through the quantum link displays, she could see what the team saw. The Vilaxians' bodies seemed to dissolve into pure light as they passed through the hulls of the scavenger ships, pulling their human partners through with them. The sensation, according to the strike team's earlier practice runs, was like moving through warm water. "Contact," Telsher's harmonic voice whispered through the calm. "3 guards, level 4. They cannot detect us. Life signs, multiple human signatures 2 decks below." Marcus Chen's team reported in next. "Second ship penetrated. Security systems offline. They have no idea we're here." The rescue operation was proceeding exactly as planned. Almost too perfectly. Diana had learned long ago that when things seemed too easy, trouble was usually right around the corner. She was right. Energy spike. Raj shouted suddenly. Massive power buildup in the scavenger flagship. They're activating some kind of resonance pulse. ZYX-Re's form flashed with alarm. No, they couldn't have, that technology was destroyed centuries ago. But they had. A wave of crystalline energy erupted from the flagship, rippling through space like a stone dropped in a pond. Diana watched in horror as the Vilaxian strike team members began to destabilize, their perfect crystalline forms wavering like mirages in desert heat. "It's a trap," ZYX-Re's voice cracked with pain. "They knew what we were. They've turned our own resonance technology against us. If the pulse reaches full power, it will shatter every Vilaxian in range." The human team members watched helplessly as their alien partners struggled to maintain cohesion. The resonance bonds between them began to fluctuate wildly. That's when Dr. Neela Shah's voice cut through the chaos. "The bonds. Commander, the resonance bonds between human and Vilaxian team members, they're acting as stabilizers. Our organic matrix is somehow dampening the pulse effect." Diana's mind raced. "Can we use that? Find a way to protect all the Vilaxians?" "Yes." Neela's fingers flew across her console. "But we'll need every human crew member to link with a Vilaxian. The closer the bond, the stronger the protection." Diana turned to ZYX-Re, who was already beginning to shimmer with instability. "Tell your people to fall back to the horizon. Every human on this ship will volunteer to help." "I know they will." What followed was unlike anything in the history of either species. As the Vilaxian strike teams retreated, the entire human crew of the Horizon prepared themselves. The cargo bay became a sea of light and crystal as each human reached out to form resonance bonds with their alien counterparts. The sight of it brought tears to Diana's eyes, hundreds of beings, human and Vilaxian, literally sharing their existence to protect one another. The scavenger's weapon had been designed to tear one species apart, but instead, it had forced them to come together in the most profound way possible. "Resonance pulse at maximum." Raj called out. "Impact in 3, 2, 1. The wave hit them like a physical force. Diana gasped as she felt ZYX-Re's consciousness brush against her own through their resonance bond. For a moment, she understood what it was to exist as pure crystal and light, to feel the universe as patterns of energy and possibility. In turn, ZYX-Re experienced the fierce, protective instinct that drove humanity to reach for the stars. When the pulse passed, not a single Vilaxian had been lost. But something had been gained, an understanding that went beyond words or cultural barriers. The colonists, Diana remembered suddenly. "We still have to." "Look," Raj interrupted, pointing to his display. The scavenger ships were powering down, their weapons going offline one by one. On every channel, signals were coming in, the human colonists were fighting back, led by the strike team members who had remained behind during the retreat. In the confusion of the failed resonance pulse attack, they had seized their chance. "They didn't expect us to survive," ZYX-Re observed, their form glowing with a new confidence. "They certainly didn't expect us to emerge stronger." Diana smiled, still feeling echoes of their shared consciousness. "That's the thing about trying to tear people apart," she said. Sometimes you just give them a reason to hold on tighter. The liberation of the colonists would take several more hours, but the hard part was over. As human and Vilaxian crews worked together to secure the scavenger fleet, Diana realized they had achieved something far greater than a rescue mission. They had proven that the strongest bonds in the universe weren't made of force or fear, but of trust and sacrifice. 2 weeks after the rescue mission, the USS Horizon's observation deck was filled with an impossible spectrum of light and color. Humans and Vilaxians gathered together, their forms casting prismatic shadows across the deck as Kepler 186f's red dwarf sun painted the scene in deep crimson hues. Diana stood at the front of the assembled crews, watching as the rescued colonists mingled freely with their saviors. Children darted between the crystalline forms of the Vilaxians, laughing as the aliens shifted colors in response to their joy. The fear that had marked their first encounter seemed like a distant memory. "Hard to believe it's only been 2 weeks," Raj said, joining her at the viewport. "Look at them, it's like they've known each other for years." Diana nodded, her attention drawn to where Dr. Neela Shah was deep in conversation with a group of Vilaxian scientists. The resonance technology that had nearly been their undoing was now being studied for its healing potential. Already, they had discovered ways to use the human-Vilaxian bond to accelerate recovery from injuries. "The Council has approved our proposal," ZYX-RE announced, their crystalline form shimmering with barely contained excitement as they approached. "We will establish a permanent joint settlement here on Nexus 7. The first of its kind, a place where both our species can learn from each other." "And the colonists?" Diana asked, though she already knew the answer from the joy on their faces. "Most have chosen to stay," Marcus confirmed, joining their group. "They say after what we've been through together, they can't imagine going back to a life without our new allies. Some are even volunteering for the first round of resonance bond studies." Telsher, who had been quietly observing nearby, shifted their colors to a thoughtful blue. "We feared for so long that revealing our true nature would lead to conflict. Instead, it has brought understanding. The resonance bonds showed us something profound, that our differences need not divide us." Diana thought back to that moment during the rescue, when human and Vilaxian consciousness had touched through the bonds. The experience had left an indelible mark on everyone involved. Where there might have been fear of the Vilaxians' incredible abilities, there was now only appreciation for how they chose to use them. "Commander Frost," a small voice called out. Diana turned to find Lily, one of the youngest colonists, standing hand in hand with a juvenile Vilaxian whose form sparkled like morning dew. "Can you tell us the story again? About how the humans and Vilaxians saved everyone?" Diana smiled, noticing how many others had turned to listen. "Well, it's not just a story about saving people. It's about finding out that sometimes the thing you fear most about yourself can be the very thing that helps others. And that true strength isn't about what you can do, but about what you choose to do with your abilities." As she spoke, ZYX-RE's form began to glow with a warm, golden light that spread to the other Vilaxians in the room. It was a sight that would once have caused alarm, but now brought only wonder. "We have much yet to learn from each other," ZYX-RE said softly. "Already, your human perspective has helped us see our abilities in a new light. Not as weapons to be feared, but as tools to protect and nurture. And your example has taught us about the importance of choice," Diana replied. "That peace isn't just the absence of conflict, but an active decision we make every day." The observation deck fell quiet as the gas giant rose into view, its rings catching the light of the red dwarf sun. Among the assembled crews, resonance bonds flickered into visibility, not out of necessity now, but as a symbol of the connection they shared. "The scavengers thought they could use our differences to tear us apart," Telsher observed. "Instead, they helped us discover how much stronger we are together." Diana watched as more children gathered around them, human and Vilaxian alike, eager to hear stories of the rescue mission. Each telling would become part of the foundation myth of this new joint civilization they were building. "You know," she said, looking out at the stars, "when I took this command, I thought I knew what rescue meant. Get in, save lives, get out. But this mission taught me something new. Sometimes the most important rescue isn't from physical danger, but from our own limitations, from the walls we build around ourselves out of fear. ZYX's form rippled with agreement. And sometimes, Commander Diana Frost, those we set out to save end up saving us in return. As the red dwarf sun set on another day on Nexus 7, the observation deck continued to shimmer with the combined light of two species who had found in each other not just allies, but a new way of seeing the universe. The dawn they had created together promised a future brighter than either could have imagined alone. In the end, Diana reflected, that was the greatest rescue of all.